Hello, Northlanders. Dan Williamson here with a special episode of the Duluth News Tribune Minutes. On Wednesday, September 13th, candidates looking to represent the Duluth School Board District 3 and the Duluth School Board at large took the stage at a forum organized by the Duluth Chamber of Commerce and the News Tribune. The following is the complete audio of that forum. We encourage you to check your podcast feed for audio for other forums we hosted this week to give you the information you need to make decisions at the ballot box that are right for you. And now, here's the audio.
Just on behalf of Duluth Area Chamber and the Chamber Foundation and the DNT, who I'll talk about in just a second, just really appreciate you all being here. We appreciate our candidates being here. We've been doing this for many years in partnership with the Chamber and the DNT, and this is really an opportunity for the public to hear directly from candidates. So it's not about us, it's not about the DNT, it's not about the Chamber, but we are so honored to help organize this, and we're so grateful that you're here today to make this possible as well. So thank you for being here. We sincerely want to thank our partners at the Duluth News Tribune. This partnership's been going on for quite a while. I worked with Chuck doing this last year, almost at the exact same day 1 year ago, and always enjoy working with him. Appreciate your partnership, appreciate everything that you do, and Neil and your whole team. Our team's here today too, and we're just grateful to be here, and just grateful for you all to be here as well. We appreciate the Duluth Area Community Foundation's with the Speak the Peace project, and I know Chuck's going to talk more about that. But just a couple reminders off the top. This is an informative candidate forum. Our goal is to have good conversations. This is not meant to be a divisive debate by any means. We have a number of forums throughout the next couple of days. Our goal is to make sure that our business community, our members, and the community at large is just aware of where the candidates stand on the issues that we all know, we all care about. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to Chuck, who will get us started.
Thanks, Dan. On behalf of the News Tribune, we appreciate our partnership with the Chamber as well. I want to introduce our editorial board members are here. In addition to the forums being very informative for voters and helping them make their decisions in November, these forums will help to inform the newspaper's endorsements in these races. I want to just introduce our candidates who are here for school board. All four are for school board. District 3 candidates are Henry Banks and Loren Matell, and the at-large candidates, the incumbent is Alanna Oswald and Stephanie Williams. In a minute, we will offer each of them a chance to offer some opening remarks, and then after that, Dan and I will take turns asking questions. We will not take questions from the audience, but hopefully we cover the important issues. As I've told all the candidates, we're not really, they shouldn't be surprised by any of the questions. We're going to cover kind of the biggies, I think. So without further ado, we're going to start it off with 1.5 minutes opening remarks. Chance for the candidates to tell us a little bit about themselves, why they're running, their qualifications, and maybe their priorities. We will start with Henry Banks in District 3.
Good morning. I grew up in an incredibly strong household in suburban Kansas City. That's where I'm originally from. My parents understood the importance of a high-quality education and what that meant. They wanted their children to do better than they did in pursuit of anything we wanted in life. We all do better when we all do better. Those words are from the late, great U.S. Senator, the Honorable Paul Wellstone, of whom I knew personally. I have been an advocate for children and families in Duluth for more than 35 years. I have been in the trenches with many, many families. My mentors were Ruth Myers and Marge Wilkins. I dedicate my candidacy to them and to the life and legacy of Ray Skip Sandman for their unwavering love and commitment to families and children of Duluth. I'm running for the School Board District 3 seat to make a difference in the lives of children and families residing in that district. I'm running because I'm a visionary, working to envision a brighter future for all. Let's get rid of any and all divisions right now. Let's do this for all children and families in the district. We must move forward in a collaborative way for every child. They expect the best from us. Let's educate each child for success. We are obligated to do that.
Thank you, Henry. I just realized I failed to introduce our timekeeper, Kathy Burnt, who apparently has an alarm. Candidates, Kathy is seated right here in front. She'll hold up signs, let you know when you have 30 seconds left, 15 seconds left, and then also when your time is up. Loren Matell, also District 3.
Good morning. Thanks for coming out, and thanks to the News Tribune and the Chamber of Commerce. My name is Loren Matell. I've been around for a long time, so I'm not going to get into my bio a lot. I've lived in Duluth for over 30 years. My late wife was a teacher, and I ran a small business. We had a nice little house on the hillside and a good life. If I hadn't lost her to cancer, I probably wouldn't even be here today. We had all kinds of plans, and we would probably be traveling around enjoying our retirement. I got involved in this debate years ago because of a large consolidation project called the Red Plan, and I am appealing to the News Tribune today to give me some latitude in this forum. The paper has criticized me in the past for not wanting to talk about this investment, but I believe some mention of it is warranted in this round. The district has a bond referendum on the ballot that is asking the public to bear millions more of Red Plan debt a decade and a half after the plan was first implemented. And how that has come about, I think certainly warrants some comment if it fits into this forum somehow. But there are many other more important things, maybe, certainly more important issues to discuss as well, and I hope we can have a good debate this morning. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you, Loren. Alanna Oswald is the incumbent at-large school board member.
Hi, I am Alanna Oswald, your current school board member. My life in ISD 709 started as a 3-year-old, playing on the playground with my mom, who was a playground monitor. MacArthur became my home. My mom died when I was in junior high school, and teachers and staff supported me. Morgan Park continued to be a home. In high school, more staff and teachers became surrogate parents. A teacher even threw me my 16th birthday party when I wouldn't have had one otherwise. Denfeld was the best home. I cried at graduation because I felt like I was being kicked out of my home. Not set free into the world, but homeless. I eventually started working for the district, volunteering and advocating for the last 20 plus years, including for my own kids navigating special ed, autism, and mental health challenges. I continued to get my teaching license and a master's degree in teaching. Being on the school board has been a homecoming. I've worked tirelessly to care for our schools and students with a track record to back it up and prove it. From removing toxic materials from our playgrounds, forcing former district administration to have health, science, and social studies updated and taught in all schools, and helping create and support integration specialist positions. I have put our students first. I'd be honored to continue to be your school board member.
Thank you, Alanna. The challenger in the at-large race for school board is Stephanie Williams.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank the News Tribune and the Chamber for having me here today and the opportunity to address everyone. So, like you said, my name is Stephanie Williams. I use she, her pronouns. I am a single mom, raised by a single mom in West Duluth. My mom was well known in the district, and at one time she was the only black teacher in the whole school district, and she mentored other influential and well-respected teachers. I grew up in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. I attended Lincoln Park School, and I graduated from Denfeld High School as well. I went on to get my bachelor's degree from UW Superior. Professionally, I've worked for nonprofits and corporations. While at Community Action Duluth, I piloted the Bridge to Employment program, helping Black and Indigenous parents gain meaningful employment. The challenges some of the clients face led to the creation of Community Action's GED program, which I am immensely proud of and is still a part of their programming today. I worked for Duluth Public Schools in American Indian education, federal programs, and vocational programs. I was a proud member of Education Minnesota, a co-facilitator of the Care Academy DEI program for teachers and support staff. Currently, I work in economic development. I am one of the co-founders of the Twin Ports BIPOC Business Directory, and I serve on the Duluth 1200 Fund Board and Fuse Duluth Advisory Board. this past June, I also graduated from Leadership Duluth. I am immensely qualified to serve on the school board because of my passion and experience in the Duluth Public Schools in all these capacities, and I hope for your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Now we're going to jump into a series of 8 questions. We're going to try to limit all answers to 1 minute, and we're going to alternate the order in which people answer. So for the first question, let's talk about district financing. ISD 709, like many school districts across the nation, have been using COVID relief funds, which we know will be coming to an end soon. There is a technology referendum on the ballot this November for the school district. So this is a 2-part question. 1, do you support the referendum? And 2, with or without the referendum, how best can the school district get on firm financial footing? We will start with Loren, and then go to Alanna, Stephanie, and then Henry. Loren?
So there's 2 questions. Yeah, sorry. There's 2 questions, so I'll look at the bond referendum first. I can't get behind this simply, again, because it's asking the public to pay millions more in red plan debt, and the public did not want that plan, and we should never have set up this financing scheme. Some of us protested it quite strenuously years ago. In the private sector, if a corporate board would have done something like this, they would have been sued by their investors, but a public board just dumps a mistake onto the taxpayers, and I just have a hard time doing it, even though I don't want them to pull the money out of the general fund anymore. I strenuously objected to this plan years ago. To pull all this money out of the general fund based on some gauzy, unverifiable savings claims and some overhyped. I saw a time come up. Am I already done? That was 1 minute.
1 minute.
Wow.
Thanks, Loren.
Sorry about that.
Alanna?
Yes, I absolutely support the referendum because ESSER funds are currently paying for things that are contributing to the success of all of our students. It's creating a positive track and positive momentum to go forward. We gave everyone Chromebooks, but we didn't have a way for sure to replace Chromebooks or do upkeep or replace infrastructure to allow that many people on the internet at the same time. And so we need to have that plan. And should we not pass this referendum, that's going to be on us to go to our state legislature and advocate for that money, and even at the federal level, because technology is where schooling and education is at, and we can't be left behind.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I would agree with Member Oswald that I absolutely support the referendum. The pandemic definitely highlighted the need for technology district-wide, and it also exposed some inequities for students district-wide. And so I absolutely support the referendum. And can you repeat the second part of the question?
Just as far as how the school district, with or without the referendum, can remain on firm financial footing.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I would discuss with my fellow board members when I am on the school board. I think that we need to get input from community, from parents, from taxpayers to make the best decisions on moving forward with the district.
Thank you. And Henry?
Sure, thank you. I wholeheartedly 100% support the referendum coming up in November because these are our children. This is about our children and their future. Right now, our kids are lagging behind in so many areas academically, and we're obligated as citizens who can make these decisions to provide the resources that our kids need. I, for one, when I become a school board member, want to make sure that Duluth Public Schools are the best schools in the state of Minnesota. Right now, we're not there, and we owe our children this opportunity to do something for them that looks at their future and builds up on their future when they graduate from public school. It is a good thing, and I am telling you, schools across the country are struggling. We're struggling here in Duluth, and we have to do something more for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Our next question is also about district finances. It's about education spending, and some people see as overspending. How would you, as a school board member, each of you, be a watchdog for taxpayers while also ensuring that quality education is being delivered for all of our kids? Alanna, Oswald, we'll start with you.
Yay, the guinea pig. I believe that in my current role on the school board, I constantly am asking, do we have the money to spend? What are we not buying or not doing in order to afford this decision? And I balance that with the needs of our students, because you always keep kids first and you make decisions in the best interests of students. And you have to support your staff and you have to support the employees, because without them, you can't help the kids. So yeah, I believe I'm a fiscal watchdog as it is. And I think that through policy, we can also legislate to make sure that we stay on track that way. I am forgetting the second part of the question also, so, and now my minute's up, so I'm good.
Thank you. Stephanie Williams.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Sure. It's about how you as a school board member will be a watchdog for taxpayers while also ensuring quality education for all kids.
Thank you. So again, as a school board member, I would definitely listen to our community. I think that's a really important part of being a school board member, and also listening to our teachers and our support staff. I don't think we can overspend on our students. I think that's an investment that is well made. Our children are our future, and so again, the wisdom and how we spend the money is also very important. And so I want to make sure, Member Oswald said, I want to put students first. I absolutely want to put students first, and supporting our teachers and support staff is how we support our students. And so I want to make sure that our teachers and our support staff are holistically supported, so they're not burnt out when they're in front of our kiddos every day and giving our kids the best education that they can have.
Thank you. Moving to our District 3 candidates, Henry Banks.
Sure, thank you. So in my roles in Duluth in the past, I served on one very important organization board as vice president for about 3 or 4 years, and that is the Duluth Transit Authority. The Duluth Transit Authority gets a significant amount of state and federal funding. I, along with my colleagues on that board, were watchdogs to make sure that the money wasn't being spent willy-nilly. You know, just go ahead and spend the money. So we were not that kind of board. And so as a board member for the Duluth Public Schools, I would do the same, but I would do it with integrity, with decency, making sure that our kids get all of the academic and educational resources that they need so that they're successful when they walk out that door when they graduate from high school. So I would be a watchdog, but I would do it with integrity and decency.
Thank you. Loren Matell.
Well, this is the dilemma, of course, and I came off as an ogre in the first question. I would have, if I'd had more time, I would have got into the other part of it, and that is the kids, and of course that's what it comes down to. But you do have a responsibility as a representative of the public to be aware of the tax burden. It's gone up by 300%. The district's levy since '05, $32 million a year. That can't be overlooked here, and part of it has been poor planning. So we've got to do a better job of making sure that when we implement a plan, we're going to deliver on whatever we promise. A lot of promises have been broken, and I would like to have a better strategies going forward than we've had in the past. Clearly, we spent a lot of money, and a lot of people are out there wondering exactly how much has ended up in the classroom. And it's a legitimate question. It truly is.
Thank you all. Question 3, it gives us an opportunity to talk about quality education and at least the perception, if not the reality, of the gap between East and West, and how can we solve that? So this is also going to be 1-minute answers each, and the question is, how can we change the reality that fewer classes and extracurricular activities are often offered in Western Duluth, while some classes in Eastern Duluth are often overcrowded? Can you just take a minute and talk about how we might be able to divide that, or might be able to solve that division? And for this one, we'll start with Stephanie Williams.
So the boundary line has been a topic of discussion, I think, since I have been in elementary school. And it's a very passionate, dividing, I think, topic for everyone in the city of Duluth. And it's really something to me that we still talk about the red plan. It was just so long ago, and students and parents and teachers today, like, they don't even know what that is. And so I think we really need to look at where our students are at East, and look at where they are at Denfeld and the middle schools as well, and just really take those needs into account. I think shifting the boundary line might be a little bit helpful, because there is overcrowding on Eastern Duluth instead of Western Duluth. But I think providing those extracurricular activities at both schools would enrich. I didn't see what that time was. Oh my gosh, time's up. I thought that was 15 seconds.
Minute goes fast, sorry. Thank you, Stephanie. Next, we'll go with Henry Banks.
Sure. So as far as quality education goes, we do need to take a look at classroom sizes. Right now, it's an issue in our district. I would suggest, if we're talking high school, it should be something like 18-1 or 21-1, but not more than that. And so we need to figure out how to make these classes smaller, East and West, if you want to call it that, but we have to stop the divide. We have to figure out how to stop the divide, because we're separating each other, and that's not a good thing for our children to see and be a part of. But we have to, as adults, we have to figure it out. We have to come together and figure it out in collaboration with the school board, because if we want our kids to get the best quality education, we have to deal with the elephant in the room. And that's the elephant in the room. We need more teachers, more qualified teachers. We need more BIPOC teachers. We need to really fix the issue for our kids.
Thank you, Henry. Loren?
Again, a more complex question than you can answer in 60 seconds. But, I was in East High when Bill Gronseth pitched his plan, and there was more anger in that room than I saw with the red plan. Just drawing an artificial line on the map is going to be very difficult to solve this problem. I've always told people, if you really want to solve the problem, throw so much money in the West that people pick the West. Have a 93% graduation rate at Denfeld, higher than East, and people are going to pick where they think their children are going to get the best education. That's just the reality of the marketplace, and there's other options out there for them as well. But again, comes back to planning. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars to actually make a situation worse. It actually deepened the East-West divide. And by the way, everyone forgets about the middle. And I've always said that in the end, we'll probably have to go back to the middle to solve this problem. And I think that's what's going to end up happening here.
Thank you. And Alanna?
The first thing to do is boundaries. Not huge changes, just a little bit. Tweaking. You don't want to chase people away. People love their community schools and choose their schools because that's where they want their kids to be. So forcing choices on people is not necessarily the way to go. There is the whole idea of expansion. We have a couple schools that are bursting at the seams because people are moving to those communities with children, so they need places to be. And we can't control the housing market, but we can respond to it. Directed funds, we can create more programs and more things and be more purposeful in making the West just as equitable, and attract more students from other places to come to our schools because we are the best choice to be. Right now, there's no place to put any more teachers, so we need to be creative in finding those solutions.
Thank you all. The achievement gap by race is a long-time district problem, not just the Duluth district, but many school districts. We're curious, do you see progress, and what do you see as a possible answers so that we are no longer failing any of our students? Henry Banks, we'll start with you.
Sure, I have seen some progress. However, it's not enough progress. Our BIPOC students are struggling, but I want to say to you, our white students are struggling in the district also. And so what we need to do is we need to elevate all of our students and not focus so much on one group of students, but focus on all students as we improve the quality of education locally. And then when we do that, all of our students are going to, it's unequivocal, they will start to succeed. Yes, the assessments are showing that BIPOC students are struggling, but I want people to understand that white students are struggling also, and the graduation rates for white students is pretty abysmal too, and I don't want to accuse any of our current administration because they are working diligently to improve the quality of education for every single student in the district, and that needs to be our focus.
Thank you. Our other candidate in District 3, Loren Matell.
Well, I think that it comes down to more accountability to some degree, and I'm hopeful for the new strategic plan that they're putting together. I think that will provide more feedback, more metrics to measure success. I remember 3.5 years ago when they were asking the board to approve the new achievement integration plan. Board member Derek Eater questioned administration rather aggressively about the fact that she had no data. She said, there's none here. How am I supposed to approve this plan? They've been doing it for 40 years, millions of dollars, and they had nothing to give her at all in terms of what was working and what wasn't. So we need to have real data to build on success. If you can't measure things, you can't improve them. That's a basic tenet of any managerial situation. So I'm hopeful that we can get more data feedback and we can build on that, real data to solve the problem. But it's been time and time again, I've heard this problem 7 times. And it hasn't really improved that much.
At-large member Alanna Oswald.
Our 2022 graduation rates all increased for every group there was. That speaks to the interventions that ESSER funds are paying for and that we're implementing. And the longer that we can continue doing those interventions and helping the kids that need it, the further progress we will see. Is it going to turn it overnight? No. Our system is large. It's very complex. People's lives are crazy. But it's another reason to support the intervention because once those ESSER funds are gone, a lot of those intervention programs may be on the chopping block because we will have to revert back to basics rather than being able to do everything that we need to meet every student's need. And that truly crushes my heart because those are really tough decisions and I don't want to have to make them.
Thank you. Finally, at-large school board candidate Stephanie Williams.
So the inequities and the achievement gap has definitely been a part of the district for quite some time. I've been a part of the district for 30 years and it's always been there, which is unfortunate. Yes, it is getting better, but like Henry said, it could be doing better still. I think one of the most important ways that we can really see that improve, students learn when they see themselves in their instructors. And so I think we need adequate representation, and that comes from the top down. So we need it in our administration, we need it on our school board, we need it with our teachers, with our support staff. when I was a student, I didn't have anyone speaking for me, and nobody knew my community. And I don't think we can expect every single member to speak for every single community. So we need representation.
We are at the halfway point of the questions and in the time, so we are right on time. So great job, everyone. We're going to just keep it going with question 5. And we're going to shift focus a little bit and talk about the continuous kind of pressure that high school students in particular feel to continue to go on to college and universities. This is one that hits home for me. I have a high school senior. I know there's a lot of pressure on them to go into the universities, which is a good thing. We're very fortunate to have great higher education institutions in our backyard here in Duluth, chamber members that we're proud to have, and we certainly don't discourage anyone from going there. But we also have a lot of businesses in our backyard that have a lot of job openings right now, and some of which don't require a 4-year degree, in some cases not even a 2-year degree. So the question is, how as you as a school board and a school district, how can you better connect students to local employers to adjust workforce needs in fields like manufacturing and healthcare while also giving other options as well, including university paths? For this one, we will start with Loren.
Well, that's a great question, and again, I feel myself always being in this position where I have to criticize a bit, and the shutdown of STC. In fact, Henry said it was during the primary that it was the worst decision the school board made. I tend to agree with that. Actually, there's maybe 1 or 2 that are in contenders for that, actually, but it was one of the worst decisions. And how do we get back to where we were? We were way ahead of the game. Now we're kind of hemmed in, and I do think career technical education is one of the keys. It's a growing part of education. What I like about it is it gives kids the ability to move around in a way that we were able to with a 4-year degree once. They can go back and retool it. Kid goes to a 4-year degree, he's deep in debt, and he or she can't go back and retool. It gives a lot more flexibility, able to get a foot into the field and make money and get some real world experience on your resume. It's a great way to go, and I hope we can get back there to where we were.
Thanks, Loren. Alanna?
The pressure to go to college has been there, and I think it's gotten lost in the fact that there was a huge push by the school district under the PASS program for post-secondary options. It wasn't just about going to college, and I think that has helped contributed to the explosion in the popularity of it being okay to be in a trade program. In order to do that, we need to expand the CTE programs and courses that we do offer. However, students don't have access to take those classes, and so revamping the high school schedule is dramatically important to allow kids to be able to take advantage of those choices rather than just sticking to the core curriculum. And partnering with community and businesses to fill needed slots within our community locally is vitally important, and to help shape the curriculum for those expanded CTE options.
Thanks, Alanna. Stephanie?
Thank you. I would agree that college is definitely not the be-all, end-all for each and every student. Every student has different needs, and so we need to basically make sure that we teach students and equip them to do whatever it is that they choose to do after college, or after high school, I'm sorry, whether that be graduate and go on to college, or if they want to go straight to a trade or manufacturing. And so I think CTE is a beautiful program. The PSEO that was offered was a wonderful program to give kids the opportunity to learn in a college environment, and obviously take some pressure off parents as far as the bill is concerned. College is not always a viable or feasible option for students because of either tuition or because of a family obligation. And so we need to make sure that we're teaching students with every opportunity to move forward after graduation.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Henry.
Sure, thank you. So on my website, henrybanks.net, I have a 10-point policy plan that I'd like to implement and embed in the district. And one of those items that's on there talks about the business relationship with the school district. I think it's vitally important that the business community is more involved in our local public school system for internship opportunities, more internship opportunities, mentorships for our children who might be struggling if they have business persons in the schools working with them. It builds stronger and more solidified relationships. We need to talk more about technical education expansion, because not every child, when they graduate, will want to go to college. They want to be prepared for when they walk out the door. And so we need our business community to help with that. And we need to just more collaboratively do these efforts to benefit our kids. We want them to be successful when they walk out the door, and having those business relationships is vitally important.
Thanks. Well, the school district itself has workforce challenges. How can ISD 709 better address teacher and school bus driver shortages, as well as the need to fill staff positions? How can the district be better at recruiting? Member Oswald, we'll start with you.
Thanks for this question. We need to be able to recruit the best of the best. We have 3 local colleges, yet many of those teachers go back to the cities or wherever they came from to pursue their careers after they graduate. Fortunately, I just learned yesterday at our finance committee meeting that we are fully staffed with our teachers for the first time in many years at the beginning of our school year. That's in credit to what we have done to do differently in recruitment of people. We have filled way more of our kitchen staff and our custodian positions than we have since COVID started. And so our human resources department is implementing these new strategies that are working. What we can do and what we need to do is reach out further beyond our local limits, because our local community is not stepping forward to give us the diversity that we need in our workforce. With incredibly low numbers of teachers graduating that are teachers of color, it's incredibly difficult to do that.
Thank you. At-large candidate Williams.
I also think that we need to be looking at our education programs in the colleges and in secondary education and start recruiting there. I think we definitely need to recruit students of color from those programs. So we increase our representation in the district, and again, that helps students across the board and their graduation rates. But I think we need to look beyond just Duluth and recruit statewide, nationwide, if necessary, to really see more staff, teachers and support staff of color. And I didn't see what that time was that you flashed. I hope I wasn't up. And sorry. And yeah, I flustered myself, so sorry.
District 3 candidates, we'll start with Henry Banks.
Sure, thank you. Also on that 10-point plan that I mentioned, I talk about establishing a BIPOC teachers and administrators recruitment team and plan. I think it's highly necessary for us to do that if our kids are graduating from our current school system. They will not be prepared for the other part of our world where most of the folks are looking like me. And so we need to bring into our school system more teachers of color, more administrators of color, and I have a plan for helping to do that. In St. Joseph, Missouri, they recently hired 40 international teachers and administrators because they recognize the need and the importance of doing so for all of the children. St. Joseph is similar in size to Duluth as far as its demographics, and they made that decision. And we need to figure out how we're going to make some of those decisions happen right here in Duluth so that we prepare our school children for the real world. Thank you.
Thank you. The other District 3 candidate is Loren Matell.
Well, again, it comes down to how do you make it work in the real world. It comes down to, can you offer the kind of salaries and et cetera that attract people. It's a very competitive labor market right now. Of course, across the board it is. And so how do you do that? It's going to be very difficult. In fact, if I'd been in control of the state legislature, I would have put a lot more money into this, and rather than free lunches and some of the other things that they did. Personally, I think those priorities were wrong. I would have put more money into tangible things like this. But it's going to be difficult. I mean, there's always this intense struggle between the money you have and whether or not you can attract people and pay them what you need to, and at the same time control the budget. For example, employee benefits, that cost has gone up over $8 million in 4 years. You know, can we sustain that? But if we cut it back, we even have less chance to bring people here. So it's a real dilemma. It really is, and we have to try to find the money to bring the people in. It's not going to be easy.
Is there a rebuttal?
Not now, but you'll have a minute to do closing remarks, and then you can
sure.
say however you want. Yep. So just to keep us on time, you mentioned state legislatures, that actually leads us well to our second to last question, which is question 7, and it's about student resource officers, which has been in the news a lot lately because of a change in the Minnesota state law that changes how officers are able to deal with students' behaviors in a school. So our question is simply, do you support SROs in a school, a police presence in a school? If so, should they be restricted in how they can respond? Not, how can we ensure there's safety in our schools without them? And for this one, we'll start with Stephanie.
Officers are sworn to protect and serve, and when they are in our schools protecting and serving, I absolutely support that. I don't think that police should be in our schools to police kids. That is not why they are sworn in as officers. We have staff that have been trained and have gone through school to deal with our kids, and police officers have not really gone through that same training in that same dedicated way. What is, I think, confusing about the change is that police actually still can do some holds. They can't do the kinds of holds that restrict breathing. They can't do the kinds of holds that put someone's life at risk. And the language that has changed really makes it even across the board. So it talks specifically about what police can do with students and what they do on what officers on the street have been doing for holds when holds are necessary. And so they're not restricted to not handle students in dangerous situations. So.
Thank you, Stephanie. Henry?
So do I support SROs in schools? I only support SROs in schools if they are going to be fair-minded with regard to their interaction with every student. If there is any level of discriminatory or racist action by the SROs, that needs to be dealt with. I strongly believe that our SROs need to be properly trained, and they're very expensive. It costs taxpayers a lot of money. But if there's any evidence of wrongdoing with regard to our BIPOC students and all students in general regarding SROs, then we have to look at something else. We need to make sure our school buildings, every single one of them, are the safest that they can be, because we need to keep folks who are predatory from getting into our buildings. And we need to focus on that as well, because it's about the safety of all of our children.
Thank you, Henry. Loren?
Yes, I do support the school resource officers, and I think it's actually a fairly good deal. I don't think it's the cost for that is out of line at all. But the real issue here is how do we protect the officers? And I think we should have had a special session to work this out. I wish the governor had called one. You're in a situation, you may not even know for sure if they have a weapon. The student might have a weapon or whatever, and the situation is starting to escalate. The officer has to know what he or she can do in that situation. It has to be very clear so they're not putting themselves in any kind of civil or criminal liability. And it's not fair to them, and I can see why police departments are pulling their SORs out, or if I said that correctly, school resource officers out. I think it's very unfair, and we have to clarify it, but I do support having them there. Unfortunately, that's just the way the world is right now, and I think it just is a necessity.
And Alanna?
I absolutely support SROs, and I do so wholeheartedly with the fact and knowledge that we went through an entire process of community engagement with Marnita's Table and redesigned, and in partnership with the police department, we redesigned exactly what they do, how they do it, and when they do it, and we monitor them and we improve upon it. And I am incredibly proud to say that there was not one single complaint about our SROs during the entire school year last year. Extensive training is always given to them by the National SRO organization, and the local support that we have between the school district and the police department to work collaboratively together is really tight and really responsive, and we all have the same goals in mind of making sure that kids are safe while they're learning, and that's all we all want for everyone. Bad at grammar there.
Thank you all very much. I don't think I have to tell anyone that many students struggled with distance learning during the COVID-19 shutdowns, and many students are still struggling today. What more can the district do to help all students catch up and to help all students thrive? We'll start with District 3, Henry Banks.
Thank you. So that question says to me that we still have issues related to the academic education of students. And as I said earlier in my conversation here today, we have to make sure we are providing the utmost and best education for every child, regardless if it's distance learning, if it's in the classroom, whatever it may be, we are obligated to provide the education for them, and we should find any additional resources that those children need to make their education successful. I say this, we are on the cusp of becoming a very wonderful school district. If we work collaboratively in doing so, our students will benefit the most. And I think it brings me joy when I know there are people working in ISD 709 that are doing just that to make sure the education of all children is the best it can be, regardless of where they're coming from.
Thank you. Loren, Matell.
Could you repeat that question?
It's about helping students, all students, catch up following the COVID-19 shutdowns when many students struggled. What can the district do to help all students thrive and to get back to where they were and to help them catch up?
Well, thank you. I was kind of surprised when I saw the test scores because I thought ISD 709 was doing a pretty good job. You know, they had expanded summer school and they were doing a lot of after-school help, and it seemed like a lot of tutoring, et cetera. So I was somewhat surprised, and some people have asked me out in the community why the Superior School District has a better performance record there. And I certainly would reach out to Amy Starzecki, who used to work for ISD 709, and ask her, you know, what she did over there to have a more positive result. Clearly, this is a window. I'm always looking at that time. This is a window of opportunity that is closing, and I'm concerned about it. These kids are going to be out there with this deficit, and it's not going to be just a problem for them, but it's going to be a societal problem. So hopefully we can get on top of it. I wish I had more time, as always.
Member Oswald.
Helping all students is what we do every day. That's what teachers always do, staff do. That's why they show up to work and why they go home and think about their students and worry about them, because every student in their life is part of their family. We have engaged in so many achievement strategies utilizing those ESSER funds that were meant to help overcome these COVID barriers that exist. We've implemented PBIS, the positive behavioral intervention supports, in every school. We have a second step curriculum, we have a Project Aware grant, we use restorative practices, we have behavior response plans, implicit bias training, trauma response plans, practices. I mean, I'm not going to read the whole list, but it's long, and that's why we need to keep those programs. Plus, there's other non-tangibles that we can do. It's about the relationships between students and the people that they interact with in school. It's about providing stable environments where they don't have to worry about food or hunger or housing, and community partnerships to help make it all happen.
Thank you. And Stephanie Williams?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Yeah, it has to do with students who struggled during the COVID-19 shutdowns, distance learning, and who continue maybe to struggle today. I think test scores will bear it out that many students are still struggling. What more can the district do to help them catch up and to thrive?
Thank you. So there are as many different learning styles as there are students and families in the district. And so we need to work with families and students and find those interventions that are appropriate for each child. I think it's one of the most important reasons why we need to pass this referendum, to make sure that all of our students get the tools that they need, and our teachers and support staff get the tools that we need. I believe if the referendum doesn't pass, we may be looking at laying off some teachers, and that will obviously be a big problem for the district if we don't have enough teachers to support our kiddos. And so I think passing the referendum is a huge way, making sure all of our kids have access to technology, and just making sure we have all the interventions for the different students and the different learning styles.
We did it. That is the 8 formal questions. We're going to have time for each candidate to provide 1-minute closing remarks. But before we do that, I just want to thank you all again for being here. This takes courage not only to be here, but just to run for office and to serve. So we are grateful for that. On that note, before I forget at the end, because I know once we're done here, I hope you'll all join me in a round of applause for you all being up here. But we'll do that after the closing remarks. We, as a chamber and as the DNT, have had a long-standing agreement that we'll always be able to host these for candidates that have a contested race on the ballot. And the reason I mention that is because we're joined with Sarah Marcel, who is here today, who is running on the ballot, but is in a non-contested race. So, Sarah, we appreciate you being here today. We encourage other people to talk to Sarah if you are interested in that race. We also have at least 1, if not 2, write-in candidates that are in the room. We encourage you to stick around and talk to them as well. But we are so grateful for the opportunity to talk to these 4 today. Thank you very much for being here. And if you can please join us with the 1-minute closing remark on any topic you want, and we will start this with Loren.
Well, again, thank you for coming and listening to our opinions here. I'm just going to close by, again, pointing out that, so much of it comes down to resources and the use of resources. And those resources, of course, the money comes from the taxpayers and it comes from the citizens. And one of the situations that I've run into out there when I'm talking to people door to door is that people are on the fence, sort of, about whether or not they should give more money to the school district. They're looking around and looking at how the money was spent in the past. They understand that it's the kids and they're generous and they want to help the kids, but at the same time they say, it's sort of like, enabling an alcoholic. You give them more and more money, they'll just keep doing the same things. That's not mine. That's what people have said to me out there. So they're on the fence. They're wondering whether they should do it or not, and it does come down to whether or not they trust the board. And I think that there is some trust building that needs to be done by the school board.
Thank you, Loren. Now we'll go with Henry Banks.
So I just want to read something I received as I close today. I have known Henry Banks for a number of years and consider him to be one of the bright lights in the field of education and community development. I have collaborated with Henry on several projects. As an educator, he has decided to live the committed life. He possesses a keen, creative intelligence that those looking after the education of our children must have in such a time as this. Characteristics such as honesty, decency, and integrity are the hallmarks of Henry. Anyone or organization should consider it a blessing to have the good man join your ranks. I consider it a pleasure and privilege to support Henry for school board, and I encourage you to support him with your resources, skills, volunteerism, and of course your vote. That was a renowned international professor, Dr. Mahmoud El-Khati, who is a professor emeritus of history at Macalester College. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Stephanie Williams.
So thank you again for having me and giving me this opportunity to speak to the community. Like I said before, I am a student of Duluth Public Schools, or a graduate of Duluth Public Schools. I went to Lincoln Park and Dunfeld High School. I was a very active parent at Lester Park Elementary, not Edison. I was an employee and union member. I am the daughter of one of the only black educators in Duluth Public Schools. I grew up here. I am not an outsider. I am from this community, and I want to give back to this community. My multifaceted experience with the school district and the representation that I will give, the balanced representation I will give on the school board makes me immensely qualified. I will serve on the board the same way that I have run this campaign, and that is with positivity, and that is putting students first before anything else. And yeah, I will continue to lead with passion and empathy.
Thank you. And Alanna Oswald.
Experience, equity, and advocacy. That's what I offer. That's what I bring to the table. I'm a product of 709 schools. I've worked alongside or in nearly every position the district has to offer and learned their jobs and their challenges. I ask hard questions and don't shy away from difficult situations. I've helped move our school board from contentious to productive, respecting all voices. I've advocated with constituents, from parents with issues to fun things like renaming PSS by helping create policy. I help all who ask find information or reach a resolution, ensuring they are heard and part of the decision. It's about creating the best educational experience possible for every student. As a strong, independent thinker, I've helped create positive momentum to improve our district, and I must continue to keep administration focused to become the school system our community deserves and is proud of. That work is tough. It is rare in politics. I have been that person. I hope you have your vote.
And our final note is just to remind everyone that Election Day is November 7th. Early voting begins September 22nd. And I will ask if you're willing to stick around for the next forum, that will begin at noon. That's the mayor's race today. Tomorrow we're coming back here with 3 different forums for the city council races, so you're all welcome to stick around and join us for that if you'd like. But for now, could we end by please giving a round of applause for these 4 candidates, and thank you for their time. Thank you.